Welcome to Lotus Me Bloom podcast. This is your host, Madison Ansel, and this podcast is all about spirituality, self-development, things I've learned, and so much more. If you're into that stuff, then you found the right podcast. Hi everyone, welcome back to the podcast. So today's episode is all about human design. And if you don't know what human design is, let me put you on game real quick because it literally changed my life when I learned about it. I don't know everything there is to know about it, okay? Let me get that real clear. I am not a human design reader. I still don't know a whole lot of shit about it because there's so many layers to it. I'm just going to give you the basic rundown of what it is because there still is a lot of people that don't know what it is. But first and foremost, I just really want to get it clear that I am still a student. I learned about it a couple years ago. I still don't know everything. I learned about it through a manifestation course that I did, and that even isn't as much as you can learn about it. I have notes here. If you guys are watching the video, I will be looking at my phone and also at my notes that I took when I was taking this course. There's still so much to learn. Even the course touched the surface of it, and there's still so much that I don't know. So I would rattle off the things that I don't know, but you won't even understand if you don't know what human design is. So I am going to get right into it. It is late. It is Saturday at 9:30 p.m. I'm going to try to get this up by Sunday. I just really want to be consistent for you guys. I feel like I've been on a pretty good stretch of being consistent, and I just want to hold myself accountable and get this episode out to you sometime Sunday. I'm not sure. I'd love to aim for 11, but maybe it might be 1, 2 at the latest, maybe Monday, but it will be out. So let's dive right into it. So if you don't know what human design is, it is almost like a form of astrology, and it's similar to astrology it's like your blueprint, what you were born into this life, kind of like your sun sign, your moon sign, all that. It's the placements of the planets that determine what your human design is. It is just like astrology, as in you need your location, your birth time, and your birth date to get your results. So the website that you can use is myhumandesign.com. That's the one I use. And when you type in this information, you're going to see a bunch of shit that doesn't make sense to you. It'll look like a person with triangles and squares, and there'll be stuff at the bottom that'll tell you your type and sense and authority and all the stuff that I'm going to get into. Just surface level. Like I said, I'm not going to go over everything that I've learned because we'd be here all day, but essentially it is just a guide. It's a tool that you can use to help you get in alignment, and also it's just a tool that you can use to help you navigate life and flow more easily with life versus working against your design and just pushing up against a wall that could be avoided. Hopefully I explained that well. But like I said, essentially it just is a guide. It is like your higher self. It's the version that you should try to step into. And honestly, once you learn your type and you start to get familiar with the feelings and your authority, which I'll touch on later, you'll start to recognize that in your everyday life and be like, oh, I'm out of alignment right now, aren't I? This doesn't feel good. And there's literally so much that goes into it than what I'm getting into. So if you want to do your own research, please go ahead. I am not fully educated in this. Just want to make that clear. But this did change my life. And a lot of people don't know about it. From my viewpoint and understanding, a lot of people in the everyday world, know about astrology. Everyone knows their sun sign and everything, even if they're not super into it. But like when you say human design, people are like, what are you talking about? And that's how I was 2 years ago. There were some people that knew about it when I was taking this program. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? This sounds crazy, because it is like a whole new language. It's like, whoa, what is being a projector mean? What does being a generator mean? Like, this is just weird. And so it seems like this whole new world, but truly, I'm gonna put you on game. I'm gonna help you out. I do think that human design is getting more popular in the general population. I do see more people talking about it, and even people like that I know aren't into all the spiritual things that I went to school with. I've seen them posting about what their design is. So I think it is getting more familiarized. And someone once told me that, as an example of what astrology is to human design, if you are, religious at all, someone once explained astrology is like the Old Testament and the human design is the New Testament. So honestly, I'm really not that religious. So if that resonates with you, cool. If not, cool. It doesn't matter. I just thought I'd throw that out there. But it really is magical. It truly is. So when you start to learn more things about it, tag me and let them know. Let them know where you heard it from. Let them know about this podcast. Because honestly, what I'm sharing with you is things that I have learned and taken notes on. And it is very in detailed versus that basic stuff you stumble upon on Instagram. So I'm going to give you some good insights. And honestly, even some of the podcasts I've listened to about it, and I've listened to many, I feel like this is right up there with a lot of them, because like I said, I'm going in detail, but with each one. So I don't know a whole lot about every single type, just like I don't know a whole lot about every single astrological sign. I know most about mine, but I have notes here to make it even and fair, because I really want to make just an episode on being a projector, because that's what I am, because that's what I know. And that's what I personally resonate with. But I wanted to give this a fair chance with everyone to learn their design and to have some information on it, because being a projector, which this probably makes no sense if you don't know what I'm talking about, we aren't the general population. So I want to be able to share with you, because most of you that are listening are probably going to be a generator, because most people in my life are. I know a few projectors, but I want to give you guys the opportunity to learn about your strategy, your design type, and to just help you out in that way. I want everyone to equally learn through this podcast episode and through this podcast in general. Maybe I'll make multiple episodes on human design. I'd love to get certified to give readings. I have done it for my family members, hey, give me this. And I've looked up their charts and I have notes on, this is defined, this is undefined, this means this for you, this means that for you. I do enjoy, spreading the message and the word about it. I'm sounding very religious. I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm preaching right now. Sunday service, right? That's what they always say about Leo's podcast, Aware and Aggravated. I mention him a lot. I love him. I love his podcast. I love his content. Truly love him. Check him out if you're interested. Anyways, I'm going to stop rambling, but like I said, I have information for each one. So no one's going to feel like they're being shorted in any type of way. Okay. It's not about just my design type and what I know. It's about everyone. So let's jump right into it. There are 5 different design types, and I'm looking at my phone. I'm so sorry. I thought I'd memorize all this, but it is a lot of information. So there are 5 human design types. So the types are just a general archetype of who you came here to be and how you were made to thrive energetically. It's just a general foundation. Just like, your sun sign being a Libra, like me, there's so many more layers to astrology, right? So, with human design, when you do type in your information, like I said, you're going to see this person with just different things highlighted, different things colored in. There's gates, there's centers, there's undefined centers, and there's defined centers. I'm not going to get into all of that. And honestly, I don't even know all about the gates. I do know about my own centers, which we'll talk about later. But so there's 5 human design types. The first one that I'm going to talk about is a generator. 30 to 35% of the collective and population is a generator. So the generators are the life force of the collective. They're the action takers. And I hate feeling like I'm just reading from a list, but there's just so much information that I don't want to stay on one topic for too long. But there is so much that goes into being a generator. So I'm just hitting like the key points here. But generators are designed to find what lights them up in life. And what that means is basically finding what sparks that passion and that motivation, what makes you happy. And it truly, I've talked about this in other episodes of like what it means to be lit up. Like, does this light you up in a way that you just, it's just like a whole body feeling of like, yes. And that's what I mean by that. So generators have a defined sacral center, which operates as a battery. The battery is recharged by doing what you love and drained by doing what you hate. So it's very important as a generator to do the things that light you up, what makes you happy. And so we'll get more into like the authority of like what to be aware of when you are a generator. But all types need to recharge and they need rest, but not as much as generators. Generators just have this energy where they can work, like they can keep going versus some other types here. So they are here to master their craft and become the go-to person of that craft. They're the person that's like really good at something and they're going to show other people how to do that too. So generators generate energy for the collective. That means if you aren't living by your design, they hurt the collective, which means you're not only hurting yourself by doing things you don't want to do, but you're doing a huge disservice to other people as well. Because if you're not doing the things you love and doing the things that you're really good at and make you happy, that's such a disservice if you think about it. Like, you aren't sharing your gift that could help so many other people, if you want to look at it like that. They do have this tendency to just do things because they're good at it, and they get into this autopilot, and they can be burnt out by that or jumping into things quickly. They have magnetic auras. So the next type is manifesting generators. So manifesting generators are also 30 to 35% of the collective, because they also are generators, but they're a blend of generators and manifestors, which is the next type I will be talking about. So the manifesting generators are also known as MGs. People call them a lot. They're multi-passionate. They get shit done and move as quick as possible. They're the type that really gets shit done. Generators, of course, do too, but mani-gens, it's like a next level. They're the superhumans, as some people like to call them. So just like generators, they're here to build and take action, but with a looser structure, and they really value freedom. Freedom is huge to them. They're not meant to do just one thing. They do what lights them up, just like generators, and they redefine what is realistic for people. Sometimes they skip steps and go too fast, and they can be very impatient. They're more impatient than generators. But so with that, they can suffer severe burnout if they're not doing what they love. They have magnetic auras, just like generators, that attract opportunities, ideas, people, etc. So the next type are manifestors. They are 9% of the collective. they're here to do their own thing with no influence from the outside world. So they are like the innovators. They're the ones who are inventing, and they are really connected to the divine. So they get downloads very quickly. They're here to initiate change and transformation. They're the one who starts the domino effect. They're the first one, and then everything follows. They feel pressure to burst something into the world and then give it to someone else when it doesn't light them up anymore. So they are maybe like the CEOs of a company. Like they start the company, they get it running, it's multi-millionaire company, and then they give it away when they just like don't want to do it anymore, but they're still making that money. You know what I'm saying? So they have a good connection to the divine. Like I said, they see what others don't see. They're natural leaders who push into action, and their auras are bold and strong that quickly repel what isn't in alignment with them and strongly magnetize what is. Designed to work in cycles, not built for 9 to 5s. So they require a lot of rest in between initiating due to no connection to the sacral center. So they don't have a connection to the sacral center, like I said earlier, like generators do. The sacral center is the center of that battery, that go, go, go type of, they can make energy out of themselves, versus what I'll talk here later about people that don't have a defined sacral center. So I'm not going to dive too much into that, but manifestors thrive on freedom. So that's why I said earlier, like manifesting generators also thrive on freedom, because they're a combination of generators and manifestors. So like I said, they have very similar qualities about each of them. So they thrive where they can work on their own. Manifestors aren't really meant to be told what to do. So the next type is projectors. They are known as the wise guides of the collective. They are 20 to 25% of the collective. I am a projector, so I do resonate with a lot of this stuff. So they're here to guide the energy being created and generated by the other types into efficient systems. So they're here to kind of guide the other types into making things work like properly. They guide the collective by asking the right questions and seeing the natural talent and abilities of others so that they can best live in alignment with themselves. They have a very penetrative aura, and they're able to see in all of the things going on, like they have X-ray vision into the soul. And they tend to work in a niche and have a sign for expertise in something they do better than anyone else. So they tend to really hone in on something that they're really, really good at. And they are also known as like the teachers and the coaches and the advisors of the world. They're the ones that are meant to teach and to guide. Like that's the whole purpose really of projectors, is to guide. They're designed to go deep into their work and then have plenty of rest time to recover. They need lots of rest. Projectors get burn out very quickly. They're not meant for 9 to 5s and can be very unsustainable, as you're designed to work very intentionally. They are a magnet to invitations, others asking you for your advice and how they think they should be doing things. So if you are a projector, you might feel like people come to you all the time and ask you, what should I do? What's the best job for me? They want advice. They seek you out. And the projectors are designed to be invited into groups, projects, etc. They're the most wanted guest. It is important for you to rest and not feel pressured to work as hard as generators and manifesting generators. So I talked about this earlier. Projectors don't have a defined sacral center. And with the world being majority of generators who are that like work hard, hustle, masculine type of energy that, just society pushes out in general, when a projector is around a generator, they can feel like their sacral center is being filled in because the generator has a sacral that is defined. So when we're around them, we feel motivated and we're like, yes, we can do this too. Like, let's go. But when you leave them, you almost feel like that motivation and drive went away. And that's just because we don't have a defined center. So when we are around a group of generators, we can feel that energy like ours is being filled in for us. Hopefully that makes sense. You may find that generators and manifesting generators exhaust you. They can easily be burnt out with the whole message of just go out and make it happen. That's not a projector. It's not meant for the projector life. And we can talk about that later. So the next and the last type is reflectors. So they are less than 1% of the collective. They are the cosmic mirrors for the collective. They're extremely wise and very energetically in tune due to all the centers being undefined or open. So if you don't know what this means, I'm not going to get into too much of the centers, but when you look at your design type, you will see when you type in all your information, like I said, a person with triangles and squares and whatever, some will be filled in and some won't. So the ones that are filled in are defined. The ones that aren't are undefined. So with that being said, a reflector has no defined centers. So when you have a undefined center, you might have a hard time differentiating between your thoughts and your opinions versus theirs. You know, like you can almost be a chameleon. For example, and it doesn't mean it's bad. It's not. Like, for example, I have an undefined head center. So with the undefined head center, I can see every perspective. I can see black, white, gray, it's not just this or that. Whereas someone that has a defined head center, they might be a little bit more stubborn. They might be a little more closed-minded versus me, even, in crazy situations where I don't necessarily agree with someone, I can see their point. Like it's like an outside perspective type of thing. So it's not a bad thing, but with being a reflector, they have no centers. So they're very sensitive to energies, very, very sensitive. They're designed to work with the lunar cycle. So I'm going to get into this later, but you're meant to process things in a 28-day lunar cycle. So a reflector's environment is very, very important. It can throw off everything for them if things aren't in the right order or feng shui. If you have a messy environment or maybe a toxic environment, that can really play a huge role into your life. They can be anyone they want to be. With that being said, since they are undefined, they can just change and be who they want, They're very detached from labels and they can embody whatever they want to be. So they are the predictors of the future and they have the ability to let us know if we are in the wrong or right path as a collective. They can easily pick up others' energies and need to have practices in their life that allows them to discharge these energies. They're very sensitive to anything astrologically. So if you are a reflector, really tune into the transits and the new moons and the full moons. Time in nature is very crucial for a reflector because they can be very overstimulated. So the next thing I want to talk about is your strategy. So each type has a strategy, and the strategy is how they work and operate. It's the best way to live in alignment and to follow your strategy. And I'm going to talk about authority here soon, but each one has just their own way of being. It's just kind of like learning the characteristics of your zodiac sign, like what their weaknesses and their strong suits are. Same thing with human design. So generators, their strategy is wait to respond. They're magnets to ideas, people, and opportunities. Things are always flowing their way and the universe is always providing them with plenty things to respond to. Responding is about tuning into your sacral center, which is your gut, and asking yourself, does this light me up? Does this feel good? Am I excited about this? Doesn't mean you have to wait on the couch. It doesn't mean, you're just going to have to wait to respond if someone's like, hey, do you want to go out to eat? But it just means to take a moment and tune into your gut and your sacral and respond to how you're feeling about it. Like, does this feel expansive or does this feel limiting to me? Before saying yes or no, before giving an answer. So it's almost like, do I want to do this or should I do this? Like, should I do this, but I don't really want to do this? That's a really good indicator on how to navigate what lights you up. If you feel like you have to do something and it's not something you want to do, but you feel like you should do it, that's like saying, no, let's not do it. So hopefully that is explained well to you. So the next type for manifestors is to inform and initiate. This is the only strategy that has no waiting involved. You are here to be the start of something. You are here to lead others into the unknown. So you don't have to wait to respond or wait to be invited or whatever. You inform and initiate. The universe is always waiting on your instructions and assisting you with whatever it is that you want to bring into form. This can be the hardest strategy because it involves listening to your intuition, trusting your intuition, and knowing that no one else sees what you see and moving forward anyway. Give yourself permission to take action quickly when you feel the urge to do so, but inform first. So informing means keeping the universe and those attached or those that are going to be impacted by your decisions in the loop about what you're going to initiate. Others have an opportunity to support you in this process. So if you are wanting to maybe build a business or whatever, you need to inform those that might be impacted by that. So maybe it's informing your current coworkers or your current boss that, hey, I'm going to be leaving. Just so it's not just this like get up and go type of thing. You know, you want to inform and then initiate. So also when you want to think about it like spiritually, you want to put it out into the universe. Hey, universe, like my intentions are to start a business. I'd like for this to happen. And so it's just so you can get other people on the same page with you and have that support from the universe and other people. So for projectors, their strategy is to wait for the invitation, wait for the invite. And I feel like a lot of people don't feel like they resonate with being a projector when they find this out, because people just think of it as like, man, like what? I have to wait to be invited to do something? And no, that's not the case. And I know I was the same way when I learned. I was like, man, this kind of sucks. But I got you. So we're here to guide and to lead others. We're here to manage others. Waiting for the invitation means waiting to be invited in to share your opinion, thoughts, and ideas who are most in alignment with us. We are here to share our opinions and thoughts and ideas who are ready for us. Projectors have such a penetrative aura that they can really trigger other people who aren't ready to be seen so vulnerable by a projector. Like I said earlier, projectors have X-ray vision into the soul. So we can just see things that other people can't really see. I've talked about this in different episodes of mine where sometimes I feel like I can just have an interaction with someone and just know their insecurities and maybe their trauma and what they could do better. And that's what projectors are really known for, because we can also give unsolicited advice. And I'm going to talk about this here in a minute. You are designed this way so that your energy is protected and not wasted on those who aren't ready for your genius. So, like I said, sometimes we give advice where we don't feel seen and recognized. And I'm going to talk more about that here soon. But when we do that, it makes us out of alignment. So waiting for the invitation or the invite, I always feel like I say that weird, helps you save your energy and what matters and who's in alignment for you. You don't have to literally wait for the invite for every single decision. Energies and ideas can be inviting to you. Like, does this feel inviting to me right now? It's very similar to the generators of, does this light me up? So when we say, does this feel inviting to me? That can be does this feel good? Does this feel expansive? Does this feel like something I want to do versus something I should do? So projectors want to be seen, recognized, and valued. And creating our own invites can be done by seeing, recognizing, and valuing ourselves. And get this, you don't have to say yes to every invitation, okay? Just because someone wants your advice or wants your coaching or they want to be your friend, they want you to go out with them, does not mean you need to say yes. If it feels inviting, if it feels good, then yes. But there's been many, many times in my life where I will have someone that wants to learn from me or get to know me, but intuitively I'm like, I don't feel seen. I don't feel valued, because just because they're asking doesn't mean they actually value you. And maybe it's just they want your information, they want to take it and run with it. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to making a decision as a projector, my advice to you is, do you feel recognized? Like, do you feel valued from this person that's seeking something from you? Because you'll feel it. You'll feel it in your body. Like I said, there's been people where they're like, I really want to hang out with you. I'd like to talk about spiritual things with you and all this stuff. And to me, it's exciting because I'm like, man, I don't really get that opportunity that often. You know, I don't have a whole lot of people around me that are into the things I'm into. And I've had people that they don't know what they're experiencing and I want to help them. But it comes from a place that I feel very unappreciated. I feel very unappreciated in the way of who I am as a person. I don't feel seen for the value that I have. And it feels very needy of like, this person just wants to learn something from me and not really give me any type of reciprocation back. Like, it's one thing for me to teach at my own free will, you know, and not get paid for it. But like, some people expect a lot out of you and they don't even want a relationship with you. And it's just more of like, hey, help me with my problems, please. And then fuck off afterwards. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but as a projector, this is something you really need to navigate and learn for yourself, because people will invite you. People will want things from you and want to act like they want to get close with you. But that feeling of like, does this feel inviting, is so huge, because it doesn't always feel inviting. Just because you get the invite doesn't mean you want to go, okay? And this goes with everything. You know, if it's a new friend or a boyfriend or someone that, you know, is trying to take you out on a date or whatever, does this feel good to you? Or do you feel like, oh, I should? Like, you don't have to go out with anyone. You don't have to go out to eat. Like, truly, I try to use this in everyday decision making. It's as simple as like, do I want to go out with these people or do I not? So I just really wanted to go into detail with that, because that is something that I have really learned for myself and it has been very helpful. So reflectors, their strategy is to tune into the lunar cycle. So traditional human design days, they always said that reflectors need to wait 28 days to make decisions. And that's just not reasonable, right? Like, seriously. But it's more about bigger decisions. So the correct strategy is to learn how you feel based on different phases of the lunar cycle. Make small decisions within the mini phases and big decisions based on a full 28-day cycle. And I'm learning a lot about cycling for like menstrual periods and like being a woman and stuff like that. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, like if you are a woman and you have a period, there's things that you should do like workout wise during different phases of your cycle. So like they say not to do like intense cardio in the very beginning of your cycle, just because of your hormones. So what I'm trying to relate to is that as a reflector, you can, try to figure out what cycles work best for you, like making certain decisions, or maybe before you make the big decision, you test out little things during different parts of your cycle. And I'm relating it to women, but this doesn't have to, you can be a man and have this cycle as well. But I was just saying, like, us as women are linked up to the lunar cycles as well. And yeah, I'm not going to get too much into that. So for a reflector, it is suggested to tune into astrology and how you feel during transits, new moons, full moons. And like I said earlier, astrology is going to be your friend. Certain phases give you lots of energy, and you can use that time to do energy consuming tasks, versus certain phases tune you inward, where you can conserve your energy and take time to reflect and absorb your surroundings. Just kind of like the full moon, sometimes we can, do bigger things, and then like during some transits, like the new moon, like the darkness, it might be like tuning more into yourself, or vice versa. I know, a lot of people like to go in during full moons and like do shadow work, and then, be expansive and do new things during the new moon. This can be influenced by your environment as well. It's very important, like I said, maybe messy room, whatever. This might have something to do with how you work, or, just how you feel things out. So like I said, environment is important. So feng shui, you might want to get into that. If you don't know what feng shui is, I don't know all about it, but it's like literally how like your desk being at a certain way in the room could throw off the whole energy and vibe. I would like to learn more about it, because I've learned a little bit, but nothing too deep. But it's really important for you to value your time and to stop wasting time on people who don't deserve it. Give yourself space to change and evolve constantly, because that's what the moon's doing. It's constantly changing. So don't feel pressured by other people, by their opinions to like, be a certain way, or don't make yourself feel guilty for changing and maybe like wanting to just constantly make different choices in your life. Like it doesn't always have to be this set thing, but I'm going to jump into when it feels out of alignment or in alignment for each type. So for out of alignment for generators, is frustration, which this is also called your non-self. This is what it feels like when things aren't going your way. Maybe you're not working with your design type, and just, life just might not be going the way you want to. You can feel frustrated, and that is your sign that you need to shift some things. Frustration can come for generators as in jumping into things too quickly. When they are in alignment, they feel satisfaction. So that's when they're taking aligned action, when they're taking action that feels good, taking action that lights you up, versus doing things that you don't really want to do, doing those shoulds. That's when you're going to feel that frustration. For manifestors, when they're out of alignment, their non-self is anger. So they typically feel this when they don't inform before initiating. Other people might just not get it. They don't understand what you're doing. They might not understand your vision of something. And you might also feel this way when you don't have enough freedom. So when you're in alignment as a manifestor, you'll feel peace. It's when they trust themselves and they trust others and have the freedom to do what they please. Freedom in informing others before initiating. So freedom's huge, like I said, for manifestors. You want to feel like people understand what you're doing before you just do it, and that brings you a lot of peace. So for MGs, manifesting generators, when you're out of alignment, your non-self is frustration and anger, which is a blend of both manifestors and generators. So this can be from jumping into things before informing and not getting the results they expected because they initiated before responding. So MGs, manifesting generators, are generators first. So you need to respond first before informing and then initiating. So when manifesting generators are in alignment, their signature, that's what that is called, is satisfaction and peace. So when an MG feels supported, they trust themselves and they trust others, they feel both satisfaction and peace. They also will feel this when they take action on the things that actually light them up and when that action works out for them. So for projectors, our out of alignment self, our non-self, is bitterness. This is felt when they're not being seen, recognized, or valued. For example, like I said earlier, sometimes when I feel like I'm not being seen or I'm not being appreciated for who I am, or say I do help someone out and I give them this information and then I don't feel seen, I get bitter. Yeah. So typically this is experienced when giving unsolicited advice that others aren't taking, that you know is good advice. So this is so spot on for me. I used to, and I still do, I catch myself, but I've since learning this, I have really pulled back, especially when it comes to people I love. I'm like, man, if you just do this, this would change your life. You have to do this. You have to try it. Like you need to do this. And if they aren't ready to hear that, they're not going to take your advice. So I have learned to only give advice when people ask me for it. I can say all day, like, hey, if you would just stop saying this about yourself, or if you would just, go to this doctor, try this, supplement or whatever, I'm just giving examples. This would change your life. It's not going to hit them as where when you might bring it up. I like to always tell people, no matter what type you are, leading is an example. Like you just being you is an example. And if someone wants to know more, they will come to you. And this is very, very important as a projector because, like I said, we see things in a different light. We just see what works and what doesn't. And it's easy for us. So that's why sometimes we're always like just kind of telling people what to do almost. But it's just because we see how much easier it could be for them. But if it's not what they want to hear, it's not gonna resonate. It's not gonna hit home. So you need to honestly wait till they ask you. Because if you just are yourself, maybe it's on social media, you're posting, you're sharing information about how this changed your life or whatever, they'll see it and they know that it's there. And then when they come to you, that's when you know it's serious. I used to get so bitter when I'd be like, I told you like what to do. I told you this would help you and you didn't do it. Like, I'm trying to help you. I would get so bitter about it. And sometimes I catch myself, but I'm so much better just because of learning this information about myself. So when others reject their request for an invitation, for a projector, it's very important for us to ask before doing. So like, can I share something with you? Instead of just like, hey, you should do this. We can get better when someone's like, no, I don't want to hear this. No, not right now. They have a deep fear that they may never fit in. And damn. That hits home. So when we feel in alignment, our signature is success and recognition. So this is felt when others recognize your talents, efforts, and gifts. It's felt when you recognize yourself. That's the thing. You have to be that person for yourself. You have to recognize and value yourself for others to value you. This is felt when others take your advice and see success with it. Man, I feel so damn good when someone actually listens to me. Oh my God, it feels good. Feeling supported by the universe, yourself, and your community, and by your wisdom. So that's what it's like to be a projector. If you guys want some more info, I do talk a little bit about being a projector on TikTok. But next type, reflector. So when they feel out of alignment, their non-self theme is disappointment. Reflectors are the great karmic mirrors of our society. They're intuitive, wise, and psychic as fuck. These are actually notes from my teacher, just by the way. But they will feel disappointment when things turn out worse than they expected because the community didn't take their advice. I might have not mentioned this earlier, but reflectors being in a community is really good for them. But they feel disappointed when they're in a community and they didn't take their advice because they are very intuitive and they know if, the collective is on the right path or on the wrong path. They feel this way when throwing out information that others aren't ready to hear. They also can feel this way when, like I said earlier about us living in a generator world, they have this guilt sometimes of not feeling consistent enough because they don't have that access to energy like generators do. But when they are in alignment, their signature is surprise. They feel this when things turn out better than they anticipated. Their community listened to them and they shifted themselves accordingly. They feel this when manifestations are even better than how they imagined them. And they also feel this when they receive love, support, respect, and appreciation from their community. So that is the non-self and like I said, I like to form it as out of alignment and alignment because that's truly what it is. Like when I start to feel bitter, I know that I'm not working with my design and I'm working against myself. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about authority. So this will pop up when you type in your chart, but your authority is basically how you make decisions. There's 7 different ones, and there are some authorities that no type can be. Like for example, the lunar authority is reflectors. That's their authority. No one else can have that authority. So there's emotional authority, sacral authority, splenic authority, ego authority, self-projected authority, and sounding board authority. So very quickly, emotional authority is 50% of the population. Your solar plexus center is defined and becomes a massive part of how you make decisions. You have something called an emotional wave, emotional highs, lows, and emotional clarity. You're meant to only make decisions once you reach emotional clarity, which can take a couple of days, 1 to 3 days. There are 4 different types of emotional waves, which I'm not going to get into. I am an emotional wave, but you're just designed to take some time and sleep on it before making a decision. When in doubt, wait it out. So, I'm not going to dive too much into it. Sacral authority is the true listen to your gut authority. You're designed to make gut-based decisions in the moment. Does it feel in alignment for you right now? Does it make you light up? Like I said earlier, we have splenic authority. This is the oldest awareness center in human design. Deeply intuitive and very quiet, still and wise. Deals with physical awareness, instinct, and instant knowing in the body. Communications comes from the question, is this healthy for me? While making decisions, make sure you're not under the influence of others who are interfered with your open emotional center or open sacral center, where you absorb other energies from. The spleen just knows. If you're unsure, the answer is usually a no. Ego authority, not to be confused with the ego, like ego that everyone talks about in the spiritual community. Ego center is also known as the heart center. The ego center deals with desire, willpower, drive, and worthiness. Think ego authority equals desire authority, the most highly conditioned authority, because the only deciding factor for you is, this is what I want, end of story. The ego center is very direct. You'll know exactly what you want when you tune in, not analytical part of us. So that's the ego authority. The self-projected authority is your identity and your compass. Really lean into the version of me who is living this kind of life. What would they be doing? Would they say yes or no? Am I the type of person who would do this, wear this, that type of thing? Rather than feeling into the responses, just tune in into the decisions feel like to you and who you truly are. So, it's like asking those questions like, would I be doing this? Type of like, would my highest good be doing this type of thing? So sounding board authority is very rare. Only small percentage of projectors are known as this. You need to wait to make a decision by using your external environment, the right external environment, to bounce around ideas to find clarity. This is also known as environmental authority because it's being in the wrong environment and pressured to make a decision quickly equals the wrong decision. So being in the right environment and having time to make a decision equals correct decision. And then the lunar authority is the rarest of all. It's just for reflectors. It's very connected to the lunar cycle and is very inconsistent. It's very similar to the strategy, wait 28 days to make a big life decision. With small decisions, track how you feel, where the moon is, your environment, also you're surrounded with. Invest the time into learning about yourself and becoming aware of your patterns so that you know when to make certain decisions in your daily life. So that's basically the gist. I'm not going to get too deep into it. I'm not going to go too much into the centers or anything like that because you can do your own research. I will just give you a quick example. When I said earlier about the defined head center, I was actually talking about the ajna. The ajna, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's basically like your third eye center. That's where if it's undefined, you can see multiple different perspectives and just see the gray areas of life. But here's the thing, with each center, you can be in alignment with it and out of alignment with it. So in alignment with an undefined ajna center, you can read other people's minds and help them get out of their box if they feel stuck. Out of alignment, you constantly searching for certainty outside of yourself, taking on limiting beliefs from other people that are not yours to process. So literally for every center, there can be more stuff to dive into. When I learned the centers, I was like, holy shit, that makes sense of why I feel this way. So it's just like learning more about yourself, and I love that shit. I eat that shit up. I eat anything up that I feel like can make me understand more about why I am the way I am, how I can change who I am to become the better version of myself. How can I just thrive? Like I always want to learn more. And like I said, I haven't even learned like half of this shit, but learning the basics will change your life. And I really hope this episode helped or brought awareness to someone that doesn't know anything about human design. If it did, make sure to screenshot the episode, share it with a friend, tag me on Instagram at Lotus Me Bloom, TikTok, whatever you do, because truly this stuff changed my life. It just made me feel so validated on a soul level that I feel like a lot of people suffer with. We're always constantly searching of like, how do I become better? Why do I do this? Like, why does this feel this way? And this truly is just, I feel like so much deeper for me personally than learning astrology. I love astrology. There's still so much I don't know about astrology. So much. But there's something about human design, about like habits and stuff that really resonate and like hits a little bit more home for me. When I learned it, it literally, can I say literally anymore? I'm so sorry. It's late. I need to end this episode, but moral of the story, it changed my life. And I always want to talk about it with people, and I just feel like a lot of people don't know what it is or have no interest in learning. Like I feel like there's been people that will be like, oh yeah, I'm this, and then they don't actually try to figure out how to live with that design type and how to like operate. They just kind of learn it and then toss it aside, which is, majority of everything nowadays. So, but either way, it helps with manifestation process as well. When you learn your human design type and how it can make your life easier, you start to manifest things quicker because you're no longer working against yourself, and you know how you operate. You know how things work for you and maybe things to avoid. Basically, it just makes your life easier. And I have always, just since I've learned this stuff, kept this in the back of my head. Okay, I meant to wait for the invite. I meant to feel recognized and seen. And that is so huge for me. Like I shared earlier, being seen and feeling recognized is when I feel the best. And when I start to feel bitter, I realize like, man, something's not working here. So just learning like the basics truly will help you in so many ways. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you did, hit the like button. Please rate it if you're on Apple. I'd love to, get some ratings on there and, boost that over there. Comment what you liked in the video if you're watching on YouTube. All my socials are at Lotus Me Bloom on all platforms. My website is lotusmebloom.com if you want to check out my candles or crystals, and my personal stuff is at Madison Ansel. My YouTube, I'm active over there with lifestyle and spirituality and all that stuff. Working on building that up again. Oh, and happy Earth Day. That's when I'm recording. But with that being said, I'm going to let you guys go, and I will see you guys in next week's episode. Bye, guys.